Handsum Gambler, one goal, clean sweep, going 5 for 5 every UFC card, and I am the Handsome Gambler. Tough week at the office, folks. Just 50% on the last UFC card. 2-2 with a wash. That's why they call it gambling. Sometimes you eat steak, and sometimes you eat crow. This week we bounce back at UFC Fight Night 257. Of course, we have to get into a quick recap of the last card. The first fight of the night was a loss. I had Chase Hooper over Alexander Hernandez. Hernandez with a big upset. I don't think he's a gatekeeper or just below a gatekeeper anymore. He showed respectfulness and humbleness. He's come a long way since that Cowboy Cerrone fight. And it's a full circle moment, I feel, for him. And it was good to see him actually win. He took his time and dropped a bomb on Chase Hooper before the end of the first round, shattering my dreams. But what can I say, folks? It was good to see happen, but sometimes you have the wrong pick. Then we move on to the canceled fight between King Green and Diego Ferreira. That fight was going to bring me back and put me back on track. I cannot believe that last-minute cancellation happened. It often does not happen with Bobby Green. I understand he should kind of try to taper off his career and not take so much damage. And I think this was going to be another knockout, but neither here nor there. I hope Bobby Green either quits fighting or keeps his fucking hands up, because it doesn't make sense for him to be taking that damage and us to count on him taking that damage. Don't want to spend too much time there. Fight number 3 was Michael Oluwajacek over Jared Mearshard. Just like I said, they're not falling for this submission or bust game from Jared. They're not playing his game. These fighters are evolving, and they're want to win. It is more important to not play somebody's game if you want to win. Lord Mihal stalked him, stuffed takedowns, and slept GM3. Rolling with the fighting nerds, like I said. Fighting nerds. Fight number 4 was MVP over Jared Cannonier. Too much elite striking, too fast, too much in and out movement. That was the easiest money on the card, I feel like. And of course, the 5th fight was Kai Asakura over Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott looked career best. At the weigh-in, I knew I was in trouble at the weigh-in, but I had already made the pick at that point. His weigh-in was good. His skin looked good. His haircut looked good. He made that weight look easy as far as him making weight at an older age. He made that look easy. I knew I was in trouble at the weigh-in. He outclassed Kai at every turn. And give this guy a contender now. He's 38 years old, kind of like Marcus McGee a couple weeks ago. He's at the end of his run. Give him a contender. Let's see if he can make a push at that title. We make some noise. Big upset for the being off for 18 months and being able to come back and pull that off, making it look easy. The way his skin looked, the haircut, as far as a new look, just a new man, and turn back the clock. So TE looked good. Give him a contender. Let's do it. The new segment of the show is going to take off the Fade Parade. We're going to spotlight the fighters that didn't make us money that we're going to look to fade in the future. First up was Chase Hooper. I came to the conclusion that he cannot handle the Latino heat. First loss was to Steve Garcia, high-pressure Mexican fighter. Second loss to Alexander Hernandez, high-pressure Mexican fighter. So I'm going to definitely fade Chase Hooper against high-pressure fighters. Guys that are going to stay in his face and not let him sit on the back and kind of snipe them. Um, yeah, you fade Chase Hooper against those type of fighters from here on out. And the runner-up is going to be Karine Silva. She was gifted that decision. Her opponent closed at a negative 1,400 odds. I don't know how she got that unanimous decision, but the bookies made a killing on that call. And I'll be keeping a serious eye on Karine Silva, as it's like somebody's out to make her a contender or definitely get her a title shot. I don't know. Something funky is going on. I smell something fishy. Just something to keep an eye out on. We're going to jump into the picks on UFC Fight Night 257. First pick, I'm taking Aljamain Sterling over Brian Ortega. This is going to be a wrestling masterclass. Backpack Master is going to be all over Brian Ortega. Simple, quick work. Well, maybe not quick, but very simple work. He's going to get takedowns. Brian doesn't mind fighting off of his back. And I think this is just going to be a 15-minute backpacking Aljo on top. He's only going to strike until he can get the takedown, and once he gets the takedown, you know how Aljo does. Pick number 2 is going to be Waldo Cortez Acosta taking on over Sergey Pavlovich. I see deja vu in this fight with Waldo and Spivak. Spivak is slightly bigger and I feel like a better wrestler than Sergey Pavlovich. So Sergey's a little bit smaller and I feel with longer arms, but I feel like that's going to be it's going to cause Waldo to have a very workmanlike performance. He's going to stuff some takedowns, sniper from the outside. If he gets overly aggressive, he might knock him out. But the pick is Waldo Cortez Acosta over 2.5. Waldo Cortez Acosta money line. Waldo Cortez Acosta decision. Something around those lines. And like I said, the knockout probably live. It's just how Sergey Pavlovich, how much pressure he brings. And I don't think he's going to be able to grapple heavy very long. I say he gives up after 2 or 3 attempts of being sprawled on, or he's denied 2 or 3 attempts. He's not going to shoot anymore, and it's going to be all Waldo from here, from the rest of the fight. And I see it as going a decision from that point on. Nurjai versus Kiefer Crosby. Nurjai is taller, he's longer, he's younger, his knockout power, that aggression. Kiefer isn't UFC caliber. I believe he's only in the UFC because of his affiliation to Conor McGregor. Never won a UFC fight as far as I know. Now this fight is a little sketchy as Nurjai has never been the distance. But with the 16th reach advantage, the hometown advantage, I'm going to ride with him to either finish Crosby inside the first 7 or 8 minutes or hang on and be able to outpoint him over the 15-minute span. Either way, I feel like he gets it done. And then fight number 4 is going to be Zhao Long over Yu Su Young. Taller, longer, younger, with more ways to win. More pro experience, and if this goes to the decision, he's a hometown favorite also. Now, Jiu-Jitsu does wet blanket people, so that kind of does freak me out. But I'm going to have to see it as far as him holding him, Zhao Long, down. His performance over, I can't remember that guy's name. He had a great performance in his last fight against a ground and pounder, the Vietnamese guy. That's really good. Quang Lee. He beat Quang Bang Lee, and and that win sticks out into my head as he has a pretty ruthless and tough ground game. We'll find out if jiu-jitsu is on that level or lower, but I'm riding with Zhao Long in this hometown. I'm riding with Zhao Long. Fight number 5. This is going to catch you guys off guard, but I feel like it's the way to go. Is Charles Energy Johnson over Loner Galbanov. Taller, longer, better striker, solid takedown defense. I see this being somewhat of a repeat of the Joshua Van fight. Guys are just a little bit shorter than him and allows him to drop that uppercut on them. And even if he doesn't get it, I feel like he's going to outpoint him over the 15 minutes. And if Loner doesn't get those takedowns going, he's going to be in trouble. He's going to be coming up just short against a longer sniper and maybe get finished if he's just like Joshua Van. So I see this fight being very similar to the Joshua Van fight. So Charles Energy Johnson, inside the distance, Energy Johnson knockout. Of course, the money line, as you're already going to get plus money on. I believe at least 150 at this point. And also the new section I've been starting to do is, this is not an official bet, just a main event lean. As for the main event, I am riding with Johnny Walker. I know, sounds ridiculous. I think he gets back on the winning track. This is similar to the Derek Lewis spot from about a month ago. You guys remember that? Set him up against this guy. I feel like this is a lot similar. If he started training with his brother, I feel like he caught on with the Walter Walker being on the winning streak that he's on now, he might be able to right those wrongs that we've been seeing in the last couple fights. So like I said, not an official pick, but this nice ugly card is the perfect card for Johnny Walker to bounce back, and I feel like that's going to happen this weekend. That wraps up another episode of the Handsum Gambler. I put out an early show this week as far as I know, I'm out in Arizona. So the show is scheduled as of right now to begin around midnight on Friday night, since they're a day ahead. So I went ahead and put out my video a day ahead. Please like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends about me, please. I need all of the help I can get getting this channel up and running. Please send everybody my way. The goal is to go 5 for 5, and my strategic picks, I believe this week, are going to get us there. Stay sharp, play smart, bet on charm, and win with style. I am the Handsum Gambler, and I will see you at the pay window, folks. Signing off.
It's the greatest team of all time. That squad right there.